Hello everyone, and thanks for checking out another one of my episodes. In this one, we're not going to be going fishing, but we're going to be going over the question that I get asked the most, and that's how do I research the weather before going fishing? It's not by coincidence. When I go out, the weather's usually pretty good. As you guys know, I have a smaller boat, so I have to do a lot of research on the weather before I go. I have to pick and choose the times I go because it's not always good out there. So we're going to today cover the swell and the wind and also some weather advisories. You can see the bullet points there, and I'm going to get into detail how I look at the weather, what I use, what websites, and just what I feel is good or bad, and just share my thoughts with you guys. So let's talk about swell first. When I'm looking at graphs, there's two things you're focusing on, and that's the period and the height. Let's talk about period first. So what period means is that's the frequency, the intervals. How often is this wave going to be coming? We measure this in seconds, and if you read here, it's one complete wavelength. So let's move along now and talk about the swell height. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's letting you know how high the waves are going to be out there. If you read here, it uses the word average twice. It's important to note that. So you're going to see some waves a little bit bigger and some smaller, but in general, they're going to be about the height you're reading on the graph. So now that we know what the period and the height is, let's go ahead and look at some graphs. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I do. So let's pretend we're going to Stinson Beach. Well, we don't want to know what the swell is only at Stinson. We want to know what it is along the way. So we got to find some landmarks. So Point Bonita, that's a great place to start. Let's go ahead and do a Google search, Point Bonita swell forecast. And we're going to go ahead and click on the Willy Weather link. That's what I use. That's the website. I really like the graph that they show. It looks like this. Here you can see the black line, which is the period. And again, that's how often the wave is coming in seconds. And then the blue at the bottom, that's the wave height. So looking here, hey, it looks okay Tuesday, Wednesday. The height is nice, but that interval, the period, not so good. Look at Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Doesn't that look much better? So if we get to pick a day to go, we would rather pick one of those days. So Point Bonita is not our destination, so let's keep moving along the coast, and let's type in Muir Beach swell forecast. And again, we want to click on the Willy Weather. It's not always going to be on the top. It probably is for me because that's what I use. But it might be a few down, and go ahead and look for it. Click on it, and here we go. So what do we see? Tuesday, Wednesday, same as before. Thursday now, the period is still a little lower in the morning. So, and if you have a smaller boat, and you can pick what day you want to go, Thursday morning, I would hold off and look at Friday and Saturday. Those both look really good. So let's continue our way along the coast and check out Stinson Beach. What do we see there? Same thing, Thursday morning, doable, but it's better Friday and Saturday. Well, hey, let's not take a day off of work this week and let's go on Saturday because that looks really good, right? Now let's see if we want to give ourselves some options and maybe we can see what it's like other parts of the Bay Area here and not only go out the Golden Gate to Stinson. Let's go check out Bodega Bay. Okay, well, if we wanted to go to Bodega Bay, you see Saturday morning, it looks like it might be a little choppy out there. You're about 8-9 seconds, 4.5 feet. I mean, again, doable. Not the worst, but it's not good. Friday looks good. So you see, you can look at these and you can get an idea. And when I'm looking at Bodega Bay, I'm going to look at smallest point. I want to get more idea out there what it's going to be like. You guys get the idea, right? So I put a little chart together here of what is good versus bad swell. Remember, this is just my opinion. You could definitely think something different, and that'd be okay. This is just from my experience and my size boat out there. So take a look over. I wouldn't want to go out when the conditions are, bad. If it's 9 seconds at 5.5 feet, that's going to be my borderline for getting seasick out there. But if both falls into the moderate zone, totally comfortable out there and nice for me. Good. That's when you're going to get, the really nice, glassy, calm conditions out there. Of course, that depends on the wind. So let's transition into talking about wind now. I think as fishermen, we can all agree that wind will make or break our fishing trips. So it's good to have an idea of what it's going to be like before going out. So I'm going to play that out for you here, show you how I find what the weather's going to be like so I have a good idea what to expect when I get out there. Keep in mind when you're in a bay, like the San Francisco Bay, the wind's really the only factor as far as like how the waves are going to be. Unless you're near the Golden Gate Bridge, then you're going to look at the swell as well. Of course, when you're out in the ocean, that's when you look at both the swell and the wind. So I think we've all seen a weather hourly chart before. I want to talk about wind speed and direction now. First, we're going to talk about speed. We don't want to look at just the days high and low. It's important to look at an hourly chart to give us a much better idea what to expect out there. It's really important to get a low on the wind. So on this day, it's not very good. You can see the low is 6 miles per hour in the morning. Basically, that means the water never settled. That's kind of what I call it. So it's just stayed choppy overnight. Never got down to calm. So when it gets up to 8, 10 miles per hour, it's going to be, pretty bad out there. Compared to like this next day, you see how the water settled, went to 1 mile per hour. Basically, it went flat. And now when the wind picks back up, goes 4, 6, 8, 10, it's kind of starting over again. And it's going to be a much better experience out there. So 8 miles per hour doesn't always mean the same thing. Keep that in mind. Wind direction is not going to matter so much when you're inside of the bay. But when you're out in the ocean where there's the swell waves, it matters a lot. So along the California coast, those swell waves are always coming from like the west, northwest. So when the wind's coming from that same direction, west, the wind's coming with the wave. So they're coming in harmony together. But when the wind's coming from the south or southeast, it's pushing into the waves and it's going to create extra chop. So 10 miles per hour coming with the waves from the west is going to be a lot better than if 10 mile per hour wind coming from the south. Then it's going to be choppy out there. So always look at wind direction. And when you're on the west coast here, like in California, like I am, you always want the wind to come from the north or the west. So play along with me here. Let's say we're going to launch in Berkeley and drive out to like Alcatraz, Angel Island area. We don't want to just look up what the weather's going to be like in Berkeley. We want to get an idea of, the different areas out there. So what I do is I go to Google Maps and look at the different landmarks. So we'll go to Berkeley and we'll get the zip code. That's what we're looking for. And then we'll go to the weatherchannel.com or use the app and look at the hourly with that zip code. That'll give us a good idea of what it's going to be like in that area. And then we'll go and try, let's say, Alcatraz. And then we're going to check out that hourly. And then we'll move over to Sausalito, get that zip code, and plug that in, get the hourly. Now we can kind of paint a picture in our mind what it's going to be like when we get out in the bay in this area. So this is my opinion of what I would say is good versus bad wind. We talked about it earlier, and I can't stress it enough. The best days are going to be the days when you get 0, 1, 2 miles per hour in the morning. That's when you're going to get the glassy calm conditions. When you're out in the bay in the low 7, 8 miles per hour, it's not very good. It's going to be choppy when you get out there. And remember to look at multiple locations. It's very important. That's how you're going to get a good idea what's out there. Don't just look where you're fishing. Type in, the zip codes and the Weather Channel app, multiple locations, and that'll give you a good idea what's out there. So the last thing we're going to go over is advisories. In the San Francisco Bay Area, it's pretty common to have a small craft advisory. So what that's letting you know is that the swell and the wind are pretty bad out there. I wouldn't test it unless you have a bigger boat. I have tried it before, and it's always right. You go out there, and it's not a good experience. So just expect if you see that, it's going to be choppy out there. Part of the reason why I like the weather.com or Weather Channel app is because it shows you these small craft advisories. So let's go ahead and click on it and see what it's all about. So you can read here. It's going to tell you what the conditions are going to be like out there, what to expect. It's not good. So like we said earlier, don't go out in this unless you have a bigger boat and you know what you're getting yourself into. The other advisories you'll see over here are like lightning advisories. Of course, don't go out in the water if you see that in your boat. Just always look out for those advisories, click on them, and read what they're saying. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the video now. I hope that all made sense to you, give you guys a little insight on how I look at the weather and what I do before I go out. Let's keep the conversation going. Please comment below. I know some of you guys have a lot of experience out there, and you could help all of us learn from you guys. So if you're willing to do that, please let us know what websites you use. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye.